Yeah, I think both, definitely both. And one of the joys is kind of an interesting kind of joy. It's the joy of seeing beyond the role that we have as mother and son. It's kind of a pitfall and a joy, because in order for us to really work together, I can't hold my role as mother with Dolphin. I have to include so much more of what he is in my world. And so now to do that, I have to be willing to set aside that I'm this person's mother. So then, in a way, when we walk into a workshop, there is really no mother-son. So it's a kind of funny paradox. He's my son, but when we walk in a workshop, we're partners, and we have the value of an incredible depth of intimacy in our lives, that is so stable, like the love and the acceptance is so stable. So that mother son, the goodness of that mother son is there under us. But when we walk in a workshop, there's no mother son anymore, because there's two people facilitating workshop and being able to share whatever they have to share. And then it's a matter of like respecting the depth of intelligence and insight that this person has, and for him also the same. Seeing, and it's lovely. The joy is that there's a playful, because of this real acceptance and wholeness in our relationship with each other. There's really, he doesn't have to be anything. He doesn't have to do a great job, or I don't have to do a great job. He'll come up and be strong when I'm kind of like, I don't know what's going on here, or vice versa. And so it's sort of like the beautiful coming together of being a mother and son, and just being just very good partners in working together. And I would say that's the good part, that's the joy part. And the difficulties are because there's nothing in the way, and if anything should arise in me, like any old patterns, or and like there's nothing that's stopping, like there's nothing in the way. I'm like, I'm not afraid to say anything, and so we get into our jams, just like anybody else, and like, I want it this way, or you want that. So there's a learning, there's a great learning, because there's nothing in the way of me seeing what I'm doing. If I have old stuff coming up, and it's there, and so then again, on the beautiful side of that, we have total trust in the other one, that if something comes up, that person will, if Dolphin seems totally unreasonable and not really being straight, like, I have total trust. Within a short amount of time, he's going to come and he's going to say, wow, I just saw blah blah blah, or I'm going to come and I'll say, gosh, when I said that, I was right there, and having room to really see where it's coming from, what doesn't work.
For me, it's the double-edged sword of what happens when we are just totally willing to step right into those tender places, those raw, tender places that are very sensitive and sometimes painful. That's where the gold is, and it's really not comfortable sometimes. And so when you're in a relationship with someone where the agreement on both sides is that that's what we're up to, that we're willing to stretch and see what is really available in this relationship, then any of those tender spots are not off limits. And in a lot of ways, that's what people do in their relationships that limit them, is they're together and there's a certain agreement, this is how it goes here, and all of those really tender spots, we're just going to make sure we steer clear of those. And what also came up for me as Susan was talking is we talk a lot about value, like seeing value in a way that recognizes and discerns the different values that things hold. And my sense and my seeing out there in the world is that for the most part, there's the role and sort of the label of a relationship, and then the relationship exists within that role. And so essentially, by doing so, we're placing more value in the role than in the relationship itself. As soon as we switch that and recognize that the role exists within the context of a relationship, any of that limitation that might be involved in the role disappears. And in the same way, the relationship also exists within a broader context that has more value. So I think when I get outside of relationship, I start to move more to the meaning and purpose that Susan was talking about earlier. So there's meaning and purpose, like meaning holds purpose, and purpose holds relationship, and relationship holds role. And so now we're starting to look at and see things in a more honest, accurate way that doesn't have this built-in limitation. Now we can really go everywhere in all directions, and we see and hold things in the rightful place, and then what's available, the meaning that's really there, is available to us because we haven't cut ourselves off by placing something that doesn't belong in a level of value.